How's it going, fellow classmates? Today I'm going over the cardiovascular respiratory field test known as the BEEP test. Test is really simple. It's nothing too crazy other than the test itself. The directions of the test are, like I said, very easy. The only thing it's a 20-meter stretch of land that you got to run between point A to point B, and you have to keep up with a pre-recorded beep that's timed. It's multi-level with increasing difficulty, and as it progresses, it gets harder and harder. The equipment needed are the pre-recorded beeps, which are timed out. There's a male and there's a female version. It's about $5. I saw it online. The 20 meters of clear track or field or whatever is going to be sprinted up and back. And then a stopwatch and something to write it down. You're going to be keeping track of the levels and the amount of shuttles in between. So there's a level, then there's some reps that you're going to be doing in between. The scoring is relatively simple. It's the number of shuttles versus the levels that you completed before you're unable to keep up with the beeps. So you're disqualified per se when you're unable to make it from point A to point B before the next beep sounds. There's a calculator that's available online that'll show you where your VO2 max level is based on your results from the test, and it's relatively accurate. The strengths of the test are that you can test a large group of participants, mainly athletes. It's not really directed towards someone who's injured or someone who's out of shape, someone who's not training or at least somewhat experienced in working out. And it gets you to max effort relatively quickly and relatively at low cost. Again, it's about $5 just for the soundtrack that plays the beeps and kind of commands of how the steps should go. And a stopwatch is available on anybody's phone nowadays, so that just comes. The weaknesses, however, is that it's loose. It's really based on how the person mediating it is keeping track or how strict they are. Generally, it's a motivational situation where whether or not they're pushing as hard as they can be pushing for that round and that amount of shuttles. And general weather can put a damper on running outside. To wrap it up, there's not, again, this is something that is directed more towards athletes, groups of athletes, soccer teams, football teams, just to kind of get a good group assessment. Not really directed towards someone, again, who's injured, someone who is sedentary for the most part. There are a couple other variations of the test. There's a 15-meter beep test. There's a a rowing variation, as well as a swimming variation of the beep test. All in all, it's a relatively good way of getting a VO2 max that doesn't require complicated machines and computers that are relatively super expensive that anybody off the streets can't use. Thank you for your time, and I'll be excited to review other people's videos.